On today's video, we're going to talk about my club getting busted for serving a minor, how it happened, and things you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you. Starting right now. Hey everybody, my name is Perry. I'm a nightlife security professional, as well as director of security at a large Phoenix nightclub. Here at BouncerTips, we talk about tips, tricks, and we talk about the tools that we use here in the nightlife security industry. If this is the type of content that you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also make sure you hit that little notification bell so you get updates of future content. As always, I enjoy interacting with the people that subscribe to my channel, so if you hit that subscribe button, leave a little note in the comments section letting me know that you subscribe so I can welcome you personally to the channel. On today's video, I want to talk a little bit about a situation that happened to my club this past weekend where my club got ticketed for serving an underage patron. Now at my club here in Phoenix, this past weekend was one of the busiest weekends of the calendar year. We have the Phoenix Open in town, which draws about 600,000 people. If you want to learn more about the Phoenix Open, click this link right here. But the Phoenix Open is one of the biggest golf tournaments in the country, with the 16th hole at the Phoenix Open being notorious for being one of the biggest parties on the golf tour. So needless to say, there's a lot of drinking going on and a lot of partying, and people like to drink there during the day, and after they get done, they like to come over to our club or the clubs around the area and actually continue their partying through the rest of the night. And it also coincides on the same weekend that the Super Bowl from the NFL is also played. With the Phoenix Open being in town and it being just a few miles down the road from my establishment, there's a lot of traffic that comes throughout the week. So I had a lot of security on throughout the week, but at different times than they normally would. So there were times that, unfortunately, because there were so many hours to cover, I just didn't have enough guys to do that. So there were some hours where the bartenders and other service staff were responsible for making sure that they do proper IDing at the bar or at their tables. But with this type of partying and the excessive drinking that goes on, the Arizona Liquor Board or Liquor Control Board actually makes sure that they're in the area quite a bit more often than what they are normally when there's not an event like the Phoenix Open going on. However, this past Sunday, it was raining at the Phoenix Open, and a lot of the crowds that would typically go there on that Sunday just did not show up. So the liquor board was free to move around and go to some of the clubs that were showing Super Bowls. And they just happened to go to my club this past weekend. Now my club and the Phoenix Liquor Board have a great relationship. We've worked together for a lot of years, and we haven't been ticketed in a long time, so there really was no issues that they had for coming in. They were just doing a random spot check. And this is where the problem started. So this past Sunday, which was Super Bowl Sunday, we had our typical brunch menu, and at about 1 o'clock, a group of regulars came in. They're a group of regulars that come every year. They visit from Canada, and they're there yearly. They come a lot during the weekdays and also during the week. So we have a good relationship with them, and they know our bartenders, and they know most of the staff knows who they are. However, this particular time, they actually brought their son in with them. Now my bartender, knowing this couple, knowing this group of people that came in, and this new person, they ordered their drinks. And my bartender did ask everybody for their IDs. However, the mother who was with the son told the bartender that he doesn't have his ID, but he's of age. And this is where the bartender made the mistake. The bartender took the mother's word that her son was of age. She ended up serving them a round of drinks, and when she did that, she was actually violating the law and serving a minor. After several hours, the patrons were still there, holding their seats to watch the Super Bowl. All this time, continuing to get drinks for the minor that actually was in the establishment. Now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the bartender that originally sold them is no longer on site. They've switched out different bartenders for a different shift. And those bartenders, having taken over the tab from the original bartender, are just continuing to serve that minor along with their parents in the establishment that particular day. And then the liquor board comes in. The liquor board comes in and observes the minor having a beer in his hand, and they actually question him to see if he has identification on him. And he proceeds to tell them that he does not. The liquor board then talked to a bartender to have them get a manager to the establishment. The manager who was on duty was tied up with something else, so I just happened to be in the establishment, so I walked over on my day off to start to talk to the gentleman. He identified himself as an Arizona State Liquor Board enforcement officer, and I gladly welcomed him into the club. He proceeded to tell me that he just talked to this particular patron and he didn't have any ID and wanted to know who were the bartenders that were serving him. Now obviously, since I wasn't working, I really had no idea, but all we could do is track down the original sales tab to see who initially started that particular tab. While I'm trying to find the person that started the tab, the liquor board takes the mother and also the son out to the outside to run their identification. While outside, the mother confessed that the son was not of age and that she told the bartender that he was. So the liquor board issued them both an underage drinking ticket as well as a contributing to the delinquency of a minor ticket to the mother and son. And then they came inside to talk to us about how they were going to handle our situation. And discussing with them, they told us that we as establishment would be receiving a fine, but they wanted to know everybody that served them drinks that day. So they actually pulled the kid inside and actually had him identify the bartenders that poured him drinks that particular day. Not only did the club get fined, but the bartender who initially started the tab, plus the 2 bartenders that actually had served them throughout the day, are most likely getting tickets. So the moral of this story is to make sure that you don't trust anybody that says they're of age. Now at my particular club, I offer all of my staff IDing classes. I walk through the IDing process. I give them classes on different IDs. As you would imagine, since I have this particular channel, I'm pretty up to date on what IDs and what things you need to do to make sure you're doing an efficient job with IDing. What I can't do is make sure they utilize this information. So if they don't even bother asking a person for their ID, there's no way that I can prevent them from serving a minor. So how could I have handled this scenario just a little bit different? First, I could have done a better job anticipating the staffing that I would need for the weekend and had more people come in during the day to make sure that I had all hours covered, to make sure the door was covered at all times. Now this would have actually hurt the bottom line as far as labor costs go, but it probably would have been cheaper in the long run now considering the fine. Secondly, I could have had somebody at the front door constantly monitoring all guests coming in and out, making sure that they're IDing all guests and putting X on the hands of minors, or putting wristbands on people that were of age, just to make it clear who is of age and who's not of age, since we were going to have a mixed crowd. The third thing I could have done is had my staff do spot checks throughout the bar, looking for patrons that looked under the age of 30 and done random spot checks throughout the club, making sure everybody was of age. Now this particular situation may have been avoided by implementing those 3 things, but the one thing that is most important about this, and the lesson I want everybody to learn, is that it's our job as security people to get our staff on board with the IDing process and making sure that they're aware of the cost and the responsibility they have in carding guests. By instilling that discipline and teaching them the process the right way, that's the only way you can avoid situations like this. Now in the comment section below, let me know if you think just the one bartender, both bartenders, along with the club should get fined. Also, let me know if you have any other things that you can think of that may have prevented this particular situation. Remember to hit that subscribe button, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to learn more about the nightlife security industry, click this link right here, and you've just been taken beyond the ropes. Have a great day, everybody.